Okay, it's Christmas Eve at the moment. Tomorrow I'm going to have my Christmas dinner, obviously, or lunch, and then I'll spend the rest of the day in here. I'd like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a happy and prosperous New Year. So this is kind of my Christmas video, if you like. I'm not getting into batteries today. Just a couple of points I wanted to mention. I'm still making a lot of nickel oxyhydroxide. I'm not particularly, I'm just filtering it at the moment, that's all I'm doing, and then storing it, keeping it wet. I'm not going to wash and filter it for obvious reasons. It's made with, we make it with sodium hydroxide. Yeah, caustic soda, sodium hydroxide, which in itself is alkali. So in a nickel ion battery we use potassium hydroxide, which is also alkali. That's the electrolyte anyway. So that's the reason I'm not particularly bothering with anything else. This is here for a specific reason. A couple of people, well, one or two actually, have emailed me and said, because I commented about Rob's video when he's sending out these new kits for his next live link video to make graphene, and I commented that about the relay situation. I didn't mean anything by it, but one or two people have said, I said that you could do the swap over, the positive and negative, with one relay instead of two, and one or two have said, oh, show us, you know. So I'm going to show you. This is basically a relay. Now this is the same relay. Now I'll give you a close-up of that in a minute in case you can't see it on your screen. It is what we call a double pole, double throw relay, and I've left my lid off this, so I'm hoping it works. And it's written as DP DT. So if you see them on eBay or whatever, they don't always say double pole double throw. In the description it's DP DT, so that's the relay you want. And basically it's two poles, and you've got two throws in the relay, and that's the off state, and there's your switches there if you like, all your contactors, and in the on state they swap to a different set of pins. So your coil, your 12 volt coil, 6 volt coil, 24, whatever it is, you can switch it on and off by whatever method. Don't know what Rob's circuit looks like. It may be a 555, it could be a simple transistor, I don't know. But that's the relay. Now to get this thing to work as a single relay, basically this is how you wire it, and that's it. Okay, now you can stop the video obviously and look at that, but what happens is, you know, you've got a positive and a negative on these two contacts down below, and all you've got to do is put 4 sets of wires from your relay, and you alternate the 2 sets of wires. So obviously in the off position, which this is now, you've got your positive and negative supply there, so you've got a positive and a negative supply there. I did this one years ago. I was using 2 relays for this particular project, and then I ordered a double pole double throw relay for something else, and then I looked at it and I thought, yeah, I could use that instead of those 2 relays. So I had to redesign my circuit board. Anyways, so as you can see, once that contact there makes there and this contact makes there, when you energise the coil, they swap over. It's that simple. I've got another diagram here where you can see your four wires in a beaker, your 2 electrodes in the beaker, and your 4 wires, your positive and your negative supplies to those. Now to the electrode, sorry. And there's no need for any diodes in series or anything like that, because it's just a make and break contact. So that's it. I can't wait for Rob's video actually. I've said this before. I mean, I'm not going to buy the kit because I've got everything that I need in here to follow along with what they're doing on that live link, and obviously I'm going to follow the live link. I'm going to watch it, you know, because I'm interested. It's not that I don't know how to do what he's going to attempt, but I still like to watch, you know. It's just one of those things. It's called support, you know. I watch Rob's videos, as I've said many times, over and over again, because you just pick little things up all the time. Well, I do anyway. So that's that really. That's all that bit is. Double pole, double throw relay. So I'll get rid of those now. I don't want Rob to be offended by me doing this. It's just, it is literally that one or two have emailed me, you know. Well, I've had 6 emails I think now, and 1 message on YouTube, so I just thought I'd show it. You know, I've bought some of Rob's ink. I haven't used it yet. It's up on the shelf there, but you know, one day I'm going to get round to trialing it and using it. I'm still trying to produce, you know, my own stuff as well, obviously. So, but you know, like I say, I'm always supportive of Rob and the team. In his videos now, his wife appears as well, so that's great. You know, it's a family show. So that's that bit. Now the other thing is, excuse me, in the new year, I forgot to mention this in my video, I'm going to be pulse charging. Now I wanted to build my own, but which is simple enough, but you can buy a kit. You know, you can just buy a kit on eBay. It's just, you know, this kit allows me to alter the frequency for one, which is the number of times it pulses in a second, if you like. So if it were to pulse 50 times, that's 50 hertz. And I can't remember, I think it goes up to 400 kilohertz, and you can wind it right down to 50 hertz or 10 hertz or something. I can't remember, I'm sorry, but I'm going to be trialing this piece of kit. So you can alter the duty cycle as well. The duty cycle is the square wave on off time. So you can have it 60% on, 40% off, 20% on, 80% off, etc, etc. Pulse width modulation, if you like. But you can alter the frequency as well on this bit of kit. Now if it works, and it works how I expect it to work, and it works well, I'll tell everyone what the kit is, but I don't want to tell you now because it might not be any good. So so that's that bit. Pulse charging. I've got some ideas for it, you see. There's a lot of avenues I've got ideas for that thing, and I'll tell you all about it in the new year. So it is a bit warm in here tonight. It's unusual. It's Christmas Eve, you know, it's December, but it's warm. It's like almost 20 degrees. Cerium oxide. So I'm going to have a little look at what Gerhard's doing. I've got some ideas for that as well, but I'd like to speak to Gerhard actually about this stuff. I don't know whether he's going to tell me anything, but I'm going to give it a go. You know, I'm going to ask him a couple of questions. Hopefully he'll answer my questions. But yeah, got some cerium oxide. I've already got some. Now this is one of those infamous cut and edits. Something I forgot to mention. Quite a few people in the last year have asked me all sorts of questions about binders, this, that and the other, and I've got through quite a few this year. The famous one was this stuff, which was the I started out with this. Well, no, I didn't actually. I started out with all kinds of stuff, and I'm going to talk a lot about this in the new year, about all of the various things or methods that I've tested and the stuff that I've tried. But that is the Siggybuck one in acetone that RMS showed us. I've had that stuff working really, really well. Rob used it as a separator, obviously a porous separator, when he put brake fluid in with it, if you remember, and then washed out the brake fluid, which left this microporous structure. But I've used that as a good binder. Now, the reason I'm talking about this now is because quite a few people have asked me about this stuff, which is what they use in a lot of batteries these days, you know, as a binder. Now, it's SBR and CMC. Now, there are various papers available on SBR and CMC. SBR, styrene butadiene rubber. I've got my tin out. So oh yeah. But if you're going to buy it in its purest form. Don't buy it mixed with anything else. Buy it in its purest form. Styrene butadiene rubber, and that's what that is there. Okay, that's called Ka Bond SBR. Available in the UK from like B&Q, places like that, you know. So your average builder's yard or whatever, you know. And CMC, carboxymethyl cellulose, commonly introduced to us, if you remember, by RMS again, as wallpaper paste. But what's the question then? Well, people have asked, well, Dennis was the last guy to ask me, which prompted me to show you this. And quite a few people throughout the year, do I know what the exact formula is for the mix of the two? I will point out that in some of the papers you can read, I think lithium ion batteries spring to mind, where they use this setup, but they use a mix of the two on one side and just the one on the other side because of the destructive properties of one end of the battery. And I can't quite remember what the paper said now, but you know, there is a mix on one end and just the one on the other end, and I think it's I think it was just CMC on the one end. So what was the formula? Well, that's the formula. So we've got 100 ml of DI water, 2 grams of CMC and 1 gram of SBR, and or 50 grams of active carbon. Now, I think Dennis mentioned to me in his email that he tried the 50 grams of active carbon and it didn't work. It just got too stodgy and you couldn't do anything with it. So 25 grams then, or 30 or 10 or whatever floats your boat, whatever gets it right for you. But that's the formula, which was given to me by Peter Middleton. Hi Pete, who just vanished off the planet for some reason, and I don't know why, and has just commented on my last video. Where are you, Pete? What are you doing? But anyway, that's that. And I'm also going to show quite a few other things that I'd used as well. Got hair in my way. CMC, or better known as tylose powder. Pure CMC, food grade, okay, carboxymethyl cellulose. So, eBay, in its purest form. There are 2 other things that I used as well. I'm not going to tell you what they are. This stuff is unbelievable as a binder. I also used it to make a gel, electrolyte. I've used it as a binder, and I'll show you that stuff in action in the new year, and I'll tell you exactly what it is. Again, it's a food additive, so I'll tell you all about it. That's it. I'm attempted again. Potassium hexacyanoferrate. Right, got it. To do the zinc version of that, which is why I've been furiously ball milling up till today some ordinary activated carbon. When I say ordinary activated carbon, it's, you know, your common garden, excuse me, coconut variety, fish tank filter, medium. So I've got a problem with that stuff. I was thinking about it, and I'll explain. I've got some on test here on the bench in a battery, and you know, 18 months ago I would have sworn by this stuff because it was the best carbon I'd got at the time. But obviously since then I've been developing hundreds and hundreds of different carbons of my own. That's why they call me the carbonator. And you know, even my it wasn't my best carbon, but one of the best carbons, I did mention this in the video, was from cardboard waste and paper waste. Not going to go into the reasons why, but it was. Now that activated carbon is nowhere near as good as any one of my other carbons that I've produced. Now I know how I've produced my carbons, obviously. So this activated carbon, then you buy it in granular form for fish tanks. Now it's used in capacitors, we know that, and possibly lots of batteries, we know that, but generally in capacitors, I think. Now when you buy it, you can buy it in two formats. You can buy a very, very small particulate size, i.e. I'm just going to move this before I knock it off, in a powder sort of a format, almost like flour. So it's quite a, I don't know how many microns it is, what the mesh size is, I've got no idea because it doesn't tell you. But this was my theory. They take coconut shells and they turn them into a charcoal stroke carbon, and it's called activated charcoal or activated carbon. Now the process that they mainly use is with steam. I've seen a lovely video of this in India, this big factory blasting this stuff with steam at like mega high temperatures. I mean like 1500 degrees C plus, I think. So it's very, very hot, and it turns the coconut shell to, or a husk, whichever, I don't know what the difference is, but anyway, they turn it to a carbon and then they smash it all up. But to me, this is the bit that I think where I've gone wrong with the process, because the powdered variety isn't as good as any other carbon I've produced. So okay, so they break it all up into these granules, you know, typically, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, 5 millimeter pieces for your fish tank or whatever. So you've got a nice lump of this granular form carbon, and you've got lovely little sharp surface areas on it, all over it, which is the surface area that we look for, all these little imperfections, if you like. And yes, you know, if you were to slice that in half, you would also get, you know, possibly areas running through it like little canals or whatever. So that's your activated charcoal. Now to me, I'm thinking to myself, well, they must take that and turn it into a powder form, you know. So we've now got tiny little particles of this carbon, but I think that's where we lose that activation process. We end up with little pieces, just the same as this, with lovely bits of, you know, surface area, sharp angulations, whatever, but I don't think it's as good. So my thought is to take to investigate this carbon again, or this activated carbon, charcoal, coconut variety, and try and do something with it and make it better. Now what I've done is I've got some in the ball mill there, and it's been going for days and days and days and days, you know. Not while I'm in here, because it drives me mad, obviously. And I've just thought of something else, so I'm going to hold these in my hand before I forget. Anyways, I'm going to reactivate that once I've got it down to a particular size that I'm happy with. Now, because I haven't got, you know, a severely good microscope, you know, or anything like that, an electronic microscope, I just haven't got that equipment. I bought one on eBay. It's 1,000 times. Well, that's rubbish, isn't it? You know. So the only way I can tell is what I do. I dip a spatula into it, and then I get a beaker of water and I drop it into the beaker of water, and you can actually see the particles getting smaller and smaller and smaller. You need good eyes, obviously, but I've got these, and that's the method I'm using. But I'm almost there actually, and you can tell as well with the time that it stays in suspension for until it all settles out. And I've got 1 or 2 jars. I should really show this, but I can't be bothered right this minute. You know, you got 1 or 2 jars, and what I do, the first jar, I give them a stir again, and I watch the particles falling out of suspension. So the one I've got now, it takes quite a while for the particles to actually fall out of suspension. So I'm thinking I'm about there now, so I'm going to activate it next. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to reactivate that carbon, and then I'm going to go with the suggestion that I mentioned in my other video prior to this. I'm going to dope it with that stuff, potassium hexacyanoferrate. So that's what I'm going to do until I've got my. I still haven't fixed it. My kiln. Well, it's fixed, but it's not in situ, which is where it was, because I haven't quite decided, because of space and all the rest of it, space constraints, where I'm going to put all the control circuitry and all that. And it's a bit of a job to get the wire in from the one to the other as well. So you know, it's just one of those at the minute. So probably tomorrow, Christmas Day, after I've had a nice dinner, a meal, I'm going to be working on the kiln and get that done, and then Boxing Day I should be producing my own carbon again. Not certain what I'm going to go for yet, but there you go. Now these these arrived not yesterday, the day before, and I've got some of these. Martin from Solar Hope sent me an email and said, "Oh Kev, look at these, they're on eBay." But I'd already ordered some, and they are ceramic balls, but they are alumina, and well, they were, but I don't know what the wear is going to be like. That's what I'm looking for, to see how they wear, you know. I don't think they're going to be as hard wearing as the stainless steel balls, but I'm going to show you something regarding those stainless steel balls. I'm not using them anymore. That's it. I've had enough. It's going to be anything else that I can find. There's all sorts of zirconium and tungsten carbide. There's all sorts of medium now that you can buy to, you know, for ball milling. So why am I not using the stainless steel balls? Well, I'm going to show you. If I can find my neodymium magnet. In here we've got, I put all of those rusted balls through back in the drum on the ball mill, because the drum itself was coated in carbon and rust. Now it's not. So these, they came out lovely, you know, there they are. You know, they're not shiny, but they were when I processed them. Everybody kept saying about the magnet. Well, yeah, I know. I know the grades of stainless steel, and I know what the magnet should and shouldn't pick up. I've known that since I was about 7, I think. But thanks to everyone that mentioned it anyway. But we know that these, you can pick them up like that with a magnet. We know that. Because of the steel content, or the iron content, whichever way you want to describe it. Now, here I've got all those lovely shiny 316 stainless steel balls, or ball bearings shall we call them. Now these were the ones that I showed in the video. I'd had some in soak for 3 months, and these were in soak for about 6 weeks, I think, something like that. Didn't rust. Now they were, when I got them, before anyone mentions this, they were coated in an oil of some sort, but I washed them all in acetone first. Washed and dried them twice, so there was no oil impregnation in what I'm doing. So anyway, they are the 316s. But yesterday I thought, should we just try it, just in case there was a mix-up at the factory and you got one or two of another variety of stainless steel, you know. So what I did was I just dipped my magnet in there, look, you know. There it is. Now there's another one. There's a 6mm one. The others were 10mm. Now you can't pick a whole bunch up like, you know, those others. Not a chance. But there's kind of you can run the magnet past these things and you get a movement as well. Now whether that's kind of a lens effect, as you would get with aluminium and copper and a magnet, I don't know. But you know, I can readily just keep dipping into there. Well, nothing there now, look, nothing there. But you do it slow enough and you will. I've got two there, look. Pick some of them up. So I just don't know, guys. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. But I do know one thing. That's it. No more stainless steel ball bearings. Because I can't trust it. I cannot trust it. So I'm glad that those other ones arrived. Don't know what I've done with them. Preparation, lovely, isn't it? So they arrived and I'm using those. I'm trialling those. So that's that. Now there's probably one or two other things that I meant to say and I forgot again. But listen, I'll keep the video short. I've told you what's going on, when it's going on, hopefully, and you know, I'm gonna reactivate this originally activated carbon, and I shall add a excuse me, I shall add a functional group to it. So that's that, and I'll tell you all about it just after Christmas. Last year I did a couple of Christmas videos, Boxing Day, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, and they weren't received that well or watched, you know. So I'm gonna, whatever I do now after this one, I'm gonna keep it till after Christmas. So you know roughly where I'm gonna be. A nickel ion battery, we know that. My ordinary, well, the batteries I was building, we know that. It's time though with my batteries now. I know I can produce the carbons that you know, a carbon that's good enough to do the job. I know I can get 500 milliwatt hours per gram easily. I know I've got 600. You know, whether I can get to 7 or 8, who knows? We'll see. But it's time to actually build a battery now, or a format of a battery that works and is not, you know, what I've been doing on the bench with, you know, a couple of pieces of this stuff, you know, these sheets of graphite. I've tested all sorts in the past. I've done all the stuff that Robert's done, you know, where he showed us using stainless steel as a collector plate. What you've got to do is look at this sensibly and go, well, that is mega expensive. Now, to make that worthwhile as a battery plate, let's say, the surface area that's available has got to be so good that you can afford to use that. It's the same with graphite. You know, it's notoriously expensive. And the other thing with graphite is, I've found that you can you can readily destroy one side, either anode or cathode, depending on what you're doing in your chemistry and all the rest of it. So that's one thing. But the other thing is, it's just so expensive, and so are these. I bought these from China. They're 2mm plates, and these were £10 UK money each. So, you know, you've got to start looking at. And I built a battery a while back with aluminium foil on one side, cathode I think. Well, I think I said anode at the time, but anyways, whichever it was, you know, if we look at a jelly roll battery, an 18650, and unroll it, you've got a piece of copper and a piece of aluminium as the collectors in foil format. That's probably the cheapest way to do it. But you know, is there anything better than that, a piece of foil? Well, a mesh. You know, I've got copper mesh, I've got aluminium mesh, I've got stainless steel mesh, none of which particularly will go with my chemistry, because they will alter your chemistry. Now, what I'll be doing is I'll be taking one or the other of stainless of mesh, be it copper, stainless steel, whatever, and I'm gonna, if it's a zinc battery, I'm gonna zinc plate it on the anode side, aren't I? You know, so and possibly, well, I'll possibly use copper as well. I don't know yet. It just depends on how I feel at the time and what works and what doesn't work. So I'm going to be doing all of that, because it's time to build an actual battery now. I've got active materials that work and work well. How well it's all going to work when you put it together is a different story, because I have found, even with using these graphite sheets as opposed to a metal collector plate, it was a completely different story. But I've moved on a little bit since then. So all stuff for the new year. Like I've said, I'm going to revive my thermal batteries, because I think there's mileage in that. I want to look at that water battery, like I've said. I don't think there's a lot of mileage in that, but I've got a couple of ideas for large scale, not large scale production, but a larger version of that particular battery in a particular situation to produce energy. So that's why I'm looking at that. And of course the nickel ion battery. So I've tested a nickel ion battery in the past, and you know, it was this method where I didn't particularly wash it to a neutral pH or anything like that. Left it alkali, because the electrolyte's alkali, isn't it? So that's that. So anyway, I'm gonna shut up now. You be good, and like I said, I hope you all have a happy Christmas and a prosperous and even happier New Year. Rob is off to Japan, as I've said. This trade mission, that's brilliant. I still can't believe it, but, well, that's a lie, isn't it? Because I can believe it, actually. I can believe it. But, you know, it's a saying in it, I can't believe it, you know. So, yeah, really pleased for Rob and the crew. In fact, I've been watching his videos again this morning, you know, with the factory and all the rest of it. And it just takes me back, you know, to years ago when I was setting up production. And you know, for my electronics and stuff, and I know what they're going through. He's probably, I bet he's working today. I wouldn't mind betting he's actually working today, Christmas Eve, because I know that at that time when I was doing it, 14, 16 hours a day just weren't enough. Just weren't enough. You know, it's a mammoth task. So I do wish him all the best, as I've said quite a few times, and I will always give my support to Rob and FWG in any which way I can. Just ain't going to buy that kit. Although I should really, shouldn't I? To be honest, I should. But you know. Anyways, like I said, you have a good one. I'm going to try and have a good one. And my trying to have a good one will be producing something in here. So there you go. Oh, meant to say, the first time that wet grinder, tabletop wet grinder, 2-roll mill, 3-roll mill, whatever it is, will see any operation will be possibly tomorrow, Christmas Day, or even Boxing Day, with all of this nickel oxyhydroxide. I'm going to grind it up to a paste, and possibly some carbon in there as well. We'll see. I'll let you know. See you later.